I'm here with two of my favorite people, Brian and Jen Boyle, who are the owners of MaidThis Salt Lake City. We were just joking before that they are now becoming famous because if you see any Thumbtack ads, they're probably going to be on those ads. They just did a bunch of specials with Thumbtack Corporate. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for hopping on today.
Absolutely.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm actually particularly excited to talk about your guys' story because I think it's just very neat in the way you guys approach business in general. Would you mind sharing your guys' background before you joined Made This and what were you doing?
Yeah. Before I currently am too. I own 5 Papa Murphy's Pizza franchising or franchises. That's the take and bake pizza.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that for about 22 years now. Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's my background. I come from a big family. I'm a mom and a wife, and
Yeah. How many kids you guys have?
What was that?
How many kids do you guys have?
We have 8 together.
We have 8 all together. Yeah.
Big family.
Yes, absolutely.
8 is enough.
8 is enough.
Yeah. What's that movie, Cheaper by the Dozen? Maybe he just,
No.
No dozen.
Awesome. And Brian, how about your background?
Yeah, so my background, I've been a physical therapist for 26 years. So before we got into this business, had been doing private practice physical therapy for a number of years. I owned my own clinics. We can talk about the failures in those clinics, which kind of drove us to, saying, hey, how do we continue to do business, in another fashion and kind of getting all of those mistakes out of the way, which I think really helped us to get to this point today. But definitely lots of things in the physical therapy world that just, kind of wanted to get away from paperwork and insurance companies and all of those wonderful things. The accounts receivable was 120 days plus. The cash on hand or right afterwards is much nicer. So a lot of different things that have brought us to this point. With the business with Made This.
Yeah, and with Papa Murphy's, it was the same thing. It's a franchise, and I love franchising systems. But we were brick and mortar, and our radius of customers is like a 3-mile radius, and so you just seem kind of limited in that way. Yeah. So we were really looking for something that we could really have a really wide mile radius, that we could serve more people and get the word out. So
I think this point's so important. I mean, you both came from very different business backgrounds. Both of you were in business before joining Made This and starting your own Made This together, but different types. And it's interesting to note that every business has your challenges, right? Like Brian, you're mentioning in your business, it was the payments, the receivables. You have to wait 3 months to get paid. And Jen, on your end, it was just there's a lot of capex, there's a lot of overhead, there's very limited population to go after per location. I'm curious, and you guys kind of alluded to it, but if you could name like the number one reason why you decided to look at something else based off your old business model, just like lessons learned, what would that be?
Yeah, for me, it would be definitely, I know at Pop Murphy's, we have a consumable product, people come back for, but with Made This, I think it was really great because one, like I said, we have a huge mile radius, but it's a consumable product, kind of. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, when you get a client, it's not just a one client and done. You're able to build a relationship with them and go back on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, which obviously helps with sales because you have repeat customers all the time.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we were looking at, something that is.
And we were looking at something we could do together, right? I think that was the other thing, right? Physical therapy is so specialized that, you've got to have a doctorate in physical therapy, you've got to do this, and it was like, well, we could run an operation together, and she could be, kind of business marketing, but at the end of the day, it was just I was so burnt out in the healthcare, arena. It's like, hey, let's go somewhere else. Let's look for something else. Let's look for something. And again, same thing with physical therapy. You're going to have a 5-mile radius. People are going to come to you. They may come to you one time and then never need you again, right? And so, again, same thing where it's like, hey, we need something that people can keep coming back for and keep coming back for and keep coming back for, and something we could do remotely and and from anywhere. Honestly, I mean, so it's definitely been one of those nice things where we're not having to be in a brick and mortar store or at a storefront for physical therapy. We can be with our kids and doing things and taking calls and and setting things up for for anybody, our cleaners, anybody we work with, and so on. So
very cool. And you guys, I always tell people from Made This, they ask, do I need to be experienced in business? I say absolutely not. In fact, like sometimes it's better not to be experienced, just so you don't have any, jaded experiences to go on and things like that. You guys have been in business before. I'm curious, how much of that has helped you with Made This, and has that been maybe more tactical help or more just mindset help to understand like what's coming?
Yeah, I think what I really liked about it is that it already had a system. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Mm,
we're looking at following that system and having someone like a franchisor who has already done their due diligence in the in the marketing, in the systems and things like that. Papa Murphy's had a system, but we were really looking for something that we didn't have to recreate the wheel,
mm,
right? Because as a small business owner, that's not my specialty. I don't know how to
yeah,
do websites. I don't know how to do internet stuff. I just, I'm a people person and I love people and I love serving people. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So
So,
playing to your strengths in that realm. I think so pretty much then you kind of realized you want to play to your strengths and eliminate the
yes.
rest.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
And that's what's great about the
and
franchise.
having started up from my own, I mean, we literally, a business partner and I started from scratch. We said the logo design and coming up with
Mm,
the site and coming up with all of those things where you're just like, the brain capacity and just the effort they have to put into all of that. What really helped was understanding that, yes, there's hours that are going to need to be put into this if you want to, right? We
yep.
wanted stuff in. We wanted to
Yes.
build this. We wanted to build it faster than just kind of part-time and things. And so kind of pushed all of the other stuff out of the way. And that's what's kind of, I think, has been really helpful for us is that, we can put as many hours in as we want. And we're seeing that growth now happening. But at the same time, is that you don't need to have that if you don't want it. Okay.
Yeah.
It just depends on how fast you want to
Mm,
grow.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, I think, really what, what really comes down to this is if you want it to be a side hustle and a part-time thing and you let it grow and it's going to grow over time, great. We wanted to see this thing move faster. We wanted to expand into other territories. We wanted to do all of those things that, the reality is like, hey, if we put more effort into this, we know this is going to grow. Jen's got fantastic, relationship skills and people person, can talk to anybody in the supermarket.
yep.
I'm a little more quiet and reserved. If I know you, I will talk to you, but I don't need small talk. I don't need to have, just something to chatter going on. But that's, again, where we can walk into a building, an apartment complex or something like that and just, it's like, hey, we
Build
can
relationships.
build those relationships, and we know it doesn't happen today. It'll happen at some point. My physical therapy, I had patients that I met at a health fair, and 8 years later, somebody came in like, I remember meeting at this health fair. I was like, wow, like that was they didn't need physical therapy until that point, right? And so I learned that early on to say, hey, meet people, get the word out. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but at some point they may need you. And if they remember you and have a fantastic experience with you, then the sky's the limit as to what you can do with that relationship. And they go, hey, I didn't need physical therapy, or I didn't need cleaning service, I didn't need Papa Murphy's, but now, oh yeah, I remember talking about.
Keep popping up everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Top of mind.
Exactly.
I think too, what's really important is, people are always asking me, how do I get into Papa Murphy's? How do I get into Papa Murphy's? And there's a difference in franchises, right? Even to get into a Papa Murphy's, you have to have a net worth of $1 million now.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And then, you have to build, you have to lease, you have to buy equipment and all that kind of stuff. And so you did have to, and you're a brick and mortar, so you have to get in there and be there and, and you have to build it fast. But with Made This, you really can follow your example, Neil, and be as fast as you want or slow and steady as you want. And you don't have this huge overhead looming over your head that's like, oh, rent's going to be $6,000 this month. And you know what I'm saying? And
yeah. It's kind of a choose your own adventure in many realms. Yeah. I think you guys said something really sharp there, which is something most seasoned business owners say, which you're playing the long game, right? Like number one, you could choose the game you want, at least in a flexible business model like Made This, which is great. Like move at your pace, do what you want with it, which I personally think is fantastic. You guys value that too. But Brian, you mentioned this, how sometimes relationships in business pay off later on, right? I think a lot of newer business owners think, why is my marketing not working now? Why don't I have business right now? Right. And the true value in business, in my mind, now that I know this, is it's kind of a long game. You plant all the seeds right now, they're probably not going to pay off in the next month, maybe not the next 3 months. Like the perfect example you gave was that person who paid off 8 years later. But that worked because you planted the seeds, right? So compounding really happens if you invest in the relationships. It's kind of like the future bank, not the present bank. And that's where the real money comes into play. And I think a lot of newer business owners don't realize that. They think I'm going to turn on the LSA or Thumbtack and I'm going to get a ton of leads. And I'm going to make all this money right now.
Yeah.
That's like the short-term money, right? The real money, sustainable money is the relationship equity that you put into play. So I think it's something where you guys maybe realize that from your previous business, because I feel like you guys are doing such a great job of that now, where sometimes it takes people some education to get to that point.
Yeah.
Which you need both. Obviously, you need the short term money coming in, take whatever you can, and keep the doors open. But you're right. I mean, exactly. That's the thing where it's like, hey, the long game, the relationship where somebody is a decision maker at, say, an apartment complex, or they're a decision maker at a employer, a big employer in town, and you get a commercial contract, or somebody that has some relationships with numerous people. Those are sorts of, it's like, hey, like. Yeah, somebody coming onesie twosie or just need to move out clean. Yeah, that's going to be okay. Then great, and we need those. All right, but you're right. Those long term where you have a deep relationship and they know who to call and they always call you. And 6 times a week they're calling you. Hey, we got another one. Hey, we got another one. Like that feels great because that relationship is there and you can call them at any time. And hey, you guys were on vacation. How's the vacation? Oh, it's so good. And check in with them. Where I think that's really what a lot of people miss is build that relationship. And if you have a relationship, then it's that's
it just grows from there. And
that's worth so much more than anything else, honestly.
Because in the beginning, I mean, we did spend a fair amount of marketing dollars. But that's okay. That's a business plan. That's what you have to do. But now our marketing is not as expensive because we have those recurring customers and we've built those relationships. And we are the marketing. Do you know what I'm saying? We ourselves are the marketing. People. You know what I'm saying? And so we've been able to grow a lot faster that way because we did spend the money in the beginning and get the marketing done and get that audience and get it focused. Right.
How long have you guys been in business now?
So
a year.
It'll be 2 years in October.
Yeah. Wow.
2 years in October. Okay. Yeah. Coming up then. Yeah. You guys are going really well.
Thank you.
For all the listeners, especially who are wondering, what's the secret? What's worked for you in terms of marketing? What would you say?
So thankfully, I mean, Utah's an interesting market. I mean, we do have a lot of connections here, and there's a lot of different people that kind of we could tie into from our previous businesses and networking and things. But honestly, I mean, the lead generation Thumbtack honestly has been the biggest one for us. Just maybe a little happenstance, a little luck. I mean, you'll hear a lot in business. Sometimes it's just timing and luck. We happen to hit the right time, the right person at Thumbtack has contacted us. She continues to contact us. Now she's sending us the PR firms that'll say, hey, we have a new article for USA Today. We have a new article for Real Simple. We have a new article for this. We just literally turned in another piece for another magazine this morning. And so, a little bit of luck, a little bit of good timing, a little bit of, we were spending a lot of money on the, on Thumbtack in the beginning. That's where we just decided to put, all of our effort into. Because nothing else was seeming to work, and they have a headquarters here in Salt Lake, so it just kind of I think it was just kind of perfect timing, which I'm okay with. That we'll take whatever luck we can get, but then you have to seize on that opportunity, right? And then show up, and that's the key, right? Like opportunity presents itself, you say, oh, hey, I should take this opportunity, and I'm going to show up and actually do the work that hey, they want questions answered, or hey, they want to do an interview. Yes, let's go. We're not going to be late. We're not going to be, or be prepared. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and we've done great on Thumbtack, but Facebook is a great platform too. You do have to work hard and build relationships there too, which I like. And sometimes you win a bid, and sometimes you don't. Do you know what I'm saying? But if you're always out there and you're always commenting and joining the groups that have to do with your community, then people will see you more often if you comment, if you post, if you things like that. So it's just like keeping that top of mind.
And it just compounds from there. Absolutely.
If they see MaidThis cleaning all the time and they need a cleaner, they're like, who is that person that's always posting?
Yep.
Yeah. So
exactly.
That's what I do.
I'm curious on your guys' perspective, since you've been in this business for a while. What's the hardest part been?
I'll see what he says first.
I don't know that anything's really hard, honestly. I mean, I think it's just it's the follow up is really what it's all about. You have to follow up. Okay, it's not hard if you can do that, and I'm okay with following up. I have no problems following up.
You mean after the cleaning?
Even after the cleaning, right? I mean, I think every time you go into somebody's house, you're selling yourself again. The cleaners are selling themselves. I can't tell you how many times we've had a new cleaner go out. Perfect example. We had a guy maybe 2 months ago. Yeah. All we did was we got a text message that said, "Hey, we no longer need your services." And I was like, "Okay, that's not good." So I picked up the phone immediately. Yeah. Called him, said, "Hey, what's going on?" He didn't answer. Sent him a text and said, "Hey, I saw the message. That sounds concerning. Everything okay? You've been a weekly customer for the last 8 months." And he says, "Yeah, cleaning today was terrible." And I was like, "Okay, I apologize. That shouldn't happen. And what can we do to get this going?" I said, "Hey, why don't we refund your cleaning today? I'll send out a new cleaner on Monday. We'll redo the cleaning." And he was like, "I think we could do that." What ended up happening was he got back on the weekly schedule. We had a new cleaner go out. From that point, I think we've made an additional probably $4,000 because he had to move out clean. He needed this. He wanted another thing over here.
His sister's a realtor. She wanted us to clean her house, and then she's going to refer to other people. So it really is like dominoes. Right. You build that relationship, and then there's no end.
But again, you're building that relationship each time, and I think that's the key. We've had plenty of times where we've had customers that have just kind of said, "Hey, I want to cancel." I'll call them. "Hey, what's going on? Doesn't sound like this is good. My cleaner's been so. Hey, how about we do this? Is there some way that we can change this for you? We can do this, and this for you." And I'd say 95% of the time, I think there's only been one customer out of the, I don't know how many hundreds of customers we've had that has been like, "Yeah, I think we're just going to like take a break and like just," and it's like, "Okay, that's fine. Appreciate you, being a customer." And they're like, "Yeah, I appreciate you calling." Every single one of them has said, "Hey, I appreciate you as the owner calling me and trying to figure out what was going on. That really means a lot." Okay, and if we need something in the future, we'll come back. And it was like, "Okay, great." And that's all we can ask. We know that there's going to be churn, there's going to be turnover, but I think that's really the key is follow up, listen to what they're saying, and because people want to be heard. We had a customer that put on a 1-star review and called him up immediately, and he was like, "Oh yeah, hey." And I said, "Everything okay?" He's like, "Well, no." And I was like, "All right,
tell me about it."
Yeah, I was like, "Tell me about it." I said, "Were you trying to reach our admin person?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, that person's no longer with us at this time." And he's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "So you took care of the problem?" And I was like, "Well, I'm guessing I didn't know there was a problem, but I'm guessing there was a problem because your 1-star review." He's like, "Okay." He's like, "I don't want to get anybody in trouble." He's like, "I don't want to get it." He's like, "But I just felt like I wasn't being heard. Yeah. Nobody was responding to me." And he goes, "I'll take that review down." And I was like, "Hey," I was like, "You can do what you want." I said, "I'm more concerned about you because I didn't know this was an issue." Right. And so I think when you show concern and people are heard and they want to be heard, especially there's so many times that we have had customer service that has been just absolutely horrible. We were in the car in New Jersey a few months ago, had the worst experience ever, right? And it's like I couldn't get anybody on the phone. I couldn't get anybody to respond to emails. So I just like blasted off this terrible review. It's like, okay, at least that's the only thing I could do. And then it's like, "Oh, well, let's do this, this, and this." It's like, "Oh, let's tell our credit card about this." Yeah. "Oh, we should do this." So people want something, and in most cases, if you're listening and you can follow up with them, you're going to do just fine.
And I think when you say what's the hardest part, I don't think this is hard, but something that is really, really important is that sales funnel and the employee or the contractor funnel. You always have to keep those going because there was one little 2 weeks or maybe even 3 that we were like, "Okay, we don't need to hire any more cleaners because we have all these jobs and we don't want to we don't want to." And I know you smile because you're like,
it's always like right when you say that is when everything goes to shit, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So you always have to keep that churning.
We will never do that again. Lesson learned, thankfully, was learned a few months ago. I was like, "Oh, why did we do that?"
Yeah.
Hire anyone else? Like
always.
Famous words, right?
Yeah, right. Like, "Oh, we're good. We're good on cleaners. It's okay." But I liked what you both said because it kind of goes back to the simplicity of it. And with MaidThis, but kind of in business in general, if you just focus on the fundamentals, that's like 90% of what you need, right? I think a lot of people, especially when they scale and they get bigger, they start thinking, "Oh, I'm more advanced now. Like, let me start doing these fancy funnels and things." The truth is, like, you're kind of still focusing on the 10% at that point. 90% of it, and maybe even 100% of it, can be done with the fundamentals. You could have a 7-figure business just by doing the boring small stuff constantly, and that's it. Nothing fancy.
Right.
But I think myself included to get away from that.
That's why I like you and I like your franchise system, is because you've done all that. You've done all that legwork to where, no, we've tried this, just do this. Because sometimes I like to recreate the wheel. But with MaidThis, I don't ever get that feeling, because you're always growing. You're always trying new things and that for your franchisees. And I think that's awesome and really important.
That's awesome. Yeah. And question for you guys, with the MaidThis system, what have you found to be the most helpful as part of the support system? What have you liked about being in the MaidThis system?
I think the fact that most things are automated. Honestly, everything is automated.
Really
so
nice.
yes, we have to pick up the phone, right? I think that's one of the biggest things that you learn in business. And you even talked about this in the beginning of training. It's like, pick up the phone, right? Like, we had this call the other day. It was 10:55 p.m. Pick up the phone. Guy is now a monthly customer. Because of that, it's like, pick up the phone, right? And how many times did you call? I had a call for a tow truck for our daughter. I called 4 different towing companies, and nobody answered. After the 5th one, it was like, yes, okay. I was like, wow, how many tow truck operators? What's going on today? Like, pick up the phone. Another fundamental thing, but the automation behind the systems and what we have, and then having the network of other, of cleaners and franchise owners that can say, hey, this is what's working in our area. This is what's not working in our area.
Yeah.
Again, you kind of get a little safety net there, rather than trying to create the wheel in your own area. Having done that in my own physical therapy business, we would have to go to networking conferences and such, figure out what everyone else was doing. Hey, what are you doing over here? What are you doing over here? Nobody's picked up the phone or got a Slack channel or did anything. It was like, hey, hey, what are you guys doing over here today? Real time, quick. We got to avoid that. Boy, wow, that's a great idea. Let's do that.
It's like a huge think tank of people who want to succeed. And if you have everyone's thoughts and everyone's trials and tribulations and success stories, I know that we've all helped each other. All of the franchisees have helped each other solve some type of problem or dilemma, or been very supportive of each other and motivating. So,
right. Hey, this is what I did. Don't do this.
Yeah.
Or just doing that. Like, hey, don't do that. Like, oh yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know not to do that.
No, that's amazing. Like, by the way, guys, on mine, like, legitimately, I have like chills right now, because my whole goal is like, I just want everyone to help each other, right? Because there's so much power in the hive mind and the support system, and like having a good community. That's kind of the biggest point of it. So I'm really happy to hear you guys say that.
Yeah, it's a great community. Absolutely.
Yeah. And what's next for you guys in terms of MaidThis and expansion?
Well, we're looking to expand further south from Salt Lake, so we're going to take over the Provo territory, which will give us another kind of million plus. Most of the growth in Utah is going to occur in that area, so we wanted to be sure to be prepped in the next 10 years that we've had that area secured, and basically say, hey, let's move forward. That'll give us basically almost a rough population of almost 2 million covered lives that we'll be able to go after. So we go. Gosh, if you can get just a couple hundred customers here and a couple hundred customers there, we'll have that 7-figure business before we know it.
And the way really that I think is one of our strongest suits is apartment complexes, because once you have a relationship with like a property manager, for instance, the property company that we work for, the apartment company, they have 4 places and they're building this new one, and we're just we're the ones that are referred because we do a good job and we're good people, right?
Yeah.
So I think that opens the doors when you go into expand. If specifically, obviously going to be residential and Airbnb, but we've really had huge success with apartment complexes and common areas and their move out cleans and just being there for them.
There's good communication. They know that they can pick up the phone, and we know that again, beautiful thing about apartment complexes is you talk to one property manager for the move out cleans, they call you, right? And if they have 400 units, like, hey, how many of those are going to turn over each year? Well, a good majority of those, right? So they're going to call and they're going to call and they're going to call, and that's what happens. Hey, I've got another one for you. Hey, I've got another one for you. Then again, they're allowing us to market to those individual homes that are there, people that live there. So there's a lot of different things that you can kind of move around within. Common areas, another piece that we're going after. Yep. So I think that's the big pieces that we're looking to kind of dial into that. Because again, it's an easier thing to work with one individual, and they know who they call. They only have to call us. They're not trying to get because they have. Think about this. When people approach apartment managers, what a lot of times people don't understand is that they're getting approached by window washers, they're getting approached by carpet cleaners, they're getting approached by locksmiths, they're getting approached by all of these other vendors, right? And so they have to kind of decide who they want to work with and who they want to do things with. The pool maintenance guy, and so like they're getting bombarded. We'll go into these apartment complexes and we'll see other cleaning companies come in with their cards and they'll put them in. Okay, that's great, and we do the same thing. But to have that relationship, so we say, all right, we need a relationship with the maintenance team, we need a relationship with the property manager and the leasing agent, right? You never want to have one individual that you've got a relationship with, because if they leave, and it's not if but when they leave, okay, you don't want to be stuck going, oh darn, I only knew Craig over here, and I never got a chance to know Lori. Darn it, I should have known her. Gosh, so it's like, hey, let's bring all of you guys in. Let's become like, oh, what's your favorite soda?
What's your favorite drink? Diet Coke? Oh, here's Diet Coke.
Hey, we were just having at the store and we happened to bring it. We were just stopping by. It's so weird. You like Diet Coke? We have this Diet Coke for it. They're like, oh my gosh, that's great.
That's a true story, though.
Yeah.
Lori does
when you said Diet Coke, I was like, Salt Lake City. Yep, that's definitely a true story.
and Lori loves Diet Coke. And it's like, okay, perfect.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's truly you do the work once and it could pay dividends forever. And I think for me personally, and again, of course I'm speaking about the positives of the business model, I think it's just sustainable, right? Cleaning is going to be around forever. It's been around forever. So as long as you can build it once and you're not trying to build it a crumble cookies where you're not sure if it's going to be here in 5 years or not. If you do it once, you do the work now and you want to hold on to this for a very long time, you absolutely can. It just continue to pay you dividends 25 years down the line.
And that's why we were so attracted to MaidThis, is what you just said. Yeah, it's going to be around forever. And really, we're creeping into this new area. And it's just we're not scared because we have to find cleaners down there. That's going to be the challenge part. We're not scared because we know what we're doing. Right. And we're able to do that with confidence. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for hopping on today. This was awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.